student has dreamed of, a phone which everyone wanted. It's none other than Apple. And wanted at some point of time, and our topic is Apple's case study on Apple struggling to get hold on Indian market. So
next slide. So these are the contents, and this we have been talking about in these presentations. We talk about Apple, this market size and its journey in India, its revenue, price comparison, and what are the struggles Apple is facing in India, and why the products of Apple products are costly. We will talk about it, and what are the measures Apple is taking in. And our favorite part, the conclusion. Okay, let's start.
So these are the three people who made a revolution in the world of electronics. Sir Steve Jobs, Sir Steve Wozniak, and Sir Ronald Wozniak in April 1976 established Apple from a small garage in Sir Steve Jobs' home. Next slide, please. The current CEO of Apple Inc. is Sir Tim Cook. Apple was initially started from a garage, as I told you. Apple is headquartered in Cupertino and California, named Apple Park. Apple Park is in the form of ring. It is made in the form of ring, which has trees inside, a lot of trees, and outside, which explains that there should be greenery in work, there should be greenery in human mind. It has its device is named initially as I. I stands for Internet, Instruct, Individual, Inform, and Inspire. Apple was the first company to be valued at 7 lakh crores. So, would you like that?
So talking about the market size of Indian smartphone users, there are 43 crore smartphone users in India as on 2018, and Apple has 14% shares in it. And looking at the Xiaomi and Samsung, which are leading market, Xiaomi is carrying 28% market size, and unfortunately there is no Indian company here, but Apple has very little share in it. Next slide.
Apple's very first iPhone has never launched in India. Apple do not sell its product directly in India. It sells it through its authorized dealers. One of them are Maple, Unicorn. You must have visited at least once in your life. And interviewing personally with them. In USA, 1 in every 3 people buy Apple. But in India, 1 in every 10 or 15 people buy Apple, which is a huge difference because the price of the product is very high, of course. Majority of the income of Apple is through their iPhones. India is the second largest smartphone market in the world after China. That's why.
So talking about the revenues, as you can see, Apple with the revenue of 11,704 crore in 2017 and 13,097 crores in 2018. So if you see, the percentage change is only 12%. And if you look at the other companies, they are increasing by many, the percentage increase is very high. If you look at the OnePlus, the percentage change is 296%. So Apple has to do many things in the Indian market. Change the slide. And looking at the price comparison, I have taken 3 premium smartphones, and if you see the price comparison, Apple's price is 1,24,000, and the other two is very less than it. I mean, it's in 53,000 you get OnePlus 7, which was launched recently, and it is giving the specification much higher than Apple. So this is the price comparison. Next slide.
Why Apple struggle to hold its market in India? in Indian market, we people want our product economic. So there are more buyers in the segment of 20 to 30,000 rupees smartphone and other devices like laptops will go for 45 to even 70,000. We get a good laptops from Dell or Lenovo. Driven by Oppo, Vivo and Samsung, they are the great competitors of Apple. Sometimes Apple in Indian market stand nowhere in front of Samsung and Oppo. The iPhone is no longer stand out as once it did in the competition. When the iPhone 5s came along, it made several changes. The main focus was its camera, the features. But now Apple has introduced new technology. Even one of its kind is their tagline. Every time they use one of its kind, it's because their design they make a difference. It was the first company to introduce, and yet it is the last company only to introduce the Face ID, which maps your Face ID by just giving the sensors on your face. Even Samsung Galaxy S10 can be hacked by using another phone's camera, but Apple doesn't. Apple pursued a perfection in and out of touch with times. Apple always advanced their technology. They are always remained the first changer. First changes in any phone are made by Apple. Then the rest of the phone companies copies them, or the companies copy them within 4 or 5 months. Chinese smartphone market has made India a destination for Chinese products companies. Like OnePlus is itself Chinese, but it is now registered in India. The Apple products are mostly costly. Yes, we all know that. So in the next slide, we will see why. Next slide, please. Why the Apple products are so costly in India. In USA, Apple products are around 40% lower than present in Indian market. Many of you say that the import duties is attached and so on, but that's not the reason. The reason is Apple assumes that each dollar in a rupee is equal to 100. When converted in a rupee is really equal to 100. Likewise, the price of the new MacBook Air costs 1,09,900. The iPhone XS costs 9,900, and when you convert in dollars, it's $999, which is into 100. That is in Indian rupees. So, and Apple is the pricing its devices by assuming the dollar as equal to rupees, as I say. Thank you. Thanks. Measures taken by Apple. So, are there any measures taken by Apple? So let's see. According to the after-sales services of the product, Apple was the company which introduced insurance, Apple Insurance, in India in earlier 2010, because many of the phones were damaging and the customers are charging penal cases over Apple. So Apple came up that you will get warranty of 1 year with the product in any product you buy, and the second year you have to purchase with some additional costs, so you will have a second year warranty covered. And you must know that Apple's products has a life of more than any average other laptops or computers. So, and reducing imports in India. Apple manufactures its units outside India, but in India there are no market. But with the initiative of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with the partnership with Foxconn, Apple is moving in India soon. So, next slide, please. So here is the conclusion.
So the conclusion, competitors are emerging. Chinese brands are already taking the Indian market. So Apple has to look over it. And Apple customers are falling with a grades in number, because the revenue is increasing, but not that much that the Chinese companies are making. And Apple have to make a separate strategies for Indian market. That's it. Thank you very much.
So we would like to conclude that you must not need to sell your kidneys to buy Apple. You can go for an average smartphone. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you.